Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys showing some of my past press conference. I had to kind of cross a couple things out, and because I really believe in what I believe, and it was really, really humbling for me to sit there and see that, and then to stand up here and see just the outpouring of support from the community, from the organization, on behalf of my family, and I thank you so much. And Mr. Tepper, Mrs. Tepper, Dave, Nicole, I thank you so much for entrusting me with your prized football franchise. And I can promise you this, I'll work each day with everything that I have, and I'll hire a staff that will work each day with everything that we have that makes you proud of your organization. And, Mr. Tepper talked a little bit about it, but it was really clear from the moment we pulled up to our house. I got off the plane from Mexico. We had spent a couple days there after the bowl game, and I called Steven and said, hey, we're a couple minutes away. We're maybe a minute late. And I believe in process. I believe in doing things the right way. And I think when you're trying to make a decision about moving your family, what job you're going to go to, all those different things, you want to go to someone who does things right. And when the owner, when Marty, the general manager, when they're already at your house before you get there, when they help you carry things in, when you see them sit there and talk to your kids, I sat there with my wife and I said, there's no doubt that we share a common vision. There's no doubt that we believe in doing things the right way. And I thank you guys for the process. It's been so first class, and I know that Mr. Tepper, I know that Marty will truly be partners as we move forward. For anyone who knows anything about me, they know that family's the most important thing to me. And I would not be where I am today if it were not for my wife, Julie, my son, Bryant, my daughters, Vivian, Leona. Years ago, Julie and I, before our son was born, and he was eventually born, we were at Western Carolina, and my first recruiting trip, I had strep throat. And I called the coach, thinking coaches could have a day off. I didn't know at the time that coaches don't get a day off. And he said, well, you have strep throat, that's too bad. Get to Charlotte, you have to go recruiting. And so I got in the back seat of the car, and Julie drove me to West Charlotte, and I walked in, and I talked to the coach, and I did my job, and she drove me all day around the schools in Mecklenburg County, and then we drove back to Cullowhee. She's a special woman, and I would not be able to be here. I would not be able to have had success at Temple and Baylor if it was not for her and for my family now. Sometimes making a change is easier for the coach. I'm going to stay here, and they're going to head back. So I appreciate them. I appreciate all that they've meant to me. My mom and dad, who've moved to Temple to be there with us, who moved to Baylor and can't be here today, I'm so grateful for them. Julie's dad moved to Waco as well. We want to be a part of this family, and we're grateful for our family that we have. People have asked me, why the call, why the draw, why do you want to take on this next chapter of your life? Well, Coach, you had a great thing at Baylor. Why did you want to go to the NFL? And it's really simple to me. I start every decision in my life with why, and I'll tell you this, and I love the game of football. I was a kid that grew up in New York City, and basketball all around me, and since from an early age, I loved the game of football. My mom would, when my dad was working, my mom would take me out, and I would say now, as I ran a fly route, and she'd throw the ball as far as she could, and I'd go over and try to catch it. And my dad, once a year, twice a year, would drive me to Pennsylvania, to Penn State, and watch games. I love the game of football, and football's done so much for me in my life. I was able to go to Penn State and was not a great player, but I was able to in some small part, contribute to that team. I was able then to go on and get my master's degree because of football. I was able to get into coaching, and football's brought me in all these places and to meet all these people, and it's brought me here today. It's a special game. It's the greatest game that there is. You walk into a locker room, there's guys of all ages, there's guys from all different parts of the country, there's guys of all shapes and sizes. Yet they come together to form a team and play the hardest game that there is to play. They play in bad weather. They play when they're injured. They play when they don't feel great. They find a way to get it done as a team. It's the greatest game that there is. And as I sat here and was trying to make a decision about my life, I said to myself, Matt, what do you want? And I want to go and be a part of the greatest game at the highest stage. And I just had to figure out where. I'm so excited to be a part of this community. I'm so excited to be a part of this team. I'm walking in, I just saw Steve Smith, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, my goodness, the people that have come before me. the greatness. I met Julius Peppers earlier, like Julius Peppers. The greatness of the men who have played the game for this franchise. And I want to continue that and build that. I want to make sure that the game is played the right way each and every day, not just in the games, but on the practice field, in the meeting rooms. I want to make sure that we honor this game that's given so much to us, and that we build a team that cares about each other, that plays hard for each other. And I think that all starts with me. So as I sit here and I accept this tremendous opportunity, I just want you to know that I will work tirelessly each day to bring you guys a championship, to bring you a championship. Because that's what this region deserves. And that's what the players who came before us deserve. And that's what the guys in that locker room, as I've had a chance to meet them, that's what they deserve. And as I said so many years ago, how do you do that? You just start building. One day at a time. I truly believe that everything counts and that everything's important. The way that I park my car in the morning, the way that I walk to the practice field, the way that I watch tape, everything that I do, everything that our players do, everything that anyone associated with the Carolina Panthers do, everything has got to be our best each and every day. And when you live a life like that where everything's important, where no days are throwaways, you can be proud of the guy next to you. You can be proud of your effort, and most importantly, eventually success and championships will come. I was looking for an ownership who believed that. I was looking for a general manager who believed that life is not just about setting goals, it's about process. It's about the daily steps, the daily grind that you have to go through. I wanted to find people in an organization that's tough. That's tough. Keep pounding isn't just a slogan, it's a way of life. That when things are hard or when things are good, how you feel or what's happening can affect your effort each and every day. I wanted to come be a part of an organization that believes that, and I know that I've found that. We're going to have a tough, hardworking, competitive team. Tough to me means that each and every day, no matter how we feel, no matter what the circumstances are, we're going to come to work and we're going to do our job and get it done. I want to have a hard-working team, a team that believes in relentless preparation. I want guys that love football. I want coaches that love football, that each and every day are searching for an edge. And then I want guys who are competitive, that want to be the best, whether we're playing Madden or if we're playing in a championship game. They want to be the best each and every day, not just compared to the guy across from them, though that's important. They want to be at their best. They want to be the very best that they can be in everything that they do. I think when you have that mentality in the locker room, you can be special. When you have it with your coaching staff, you can be really good. And when it starts with your owner and it starts with your GM, you can be memorable. And that's what I found as we sat there and as I went through that process, a group of men that are committed to doing this the right way and doing it in a way that maybe hasn't been done. To the people that work in the building, to the people that wake up each and every day trying to make sure that the Carolina Panthers are their best, I just want you to know that I just want to be a small part of what we're all going to do together. To the people in the community, I want you to know that we are so excited to raise our kids here. We're so excited to give back to the community here. We want to be a part of this area. And to the players, I want you to know that each and every day I'm going to give you my best. I'm not a perfect man. I'm just doing the best I can to be the best that I can be. But I want you to know that if I'm going to ask you to be tough, hardworking, and competitive, I'm going to do that myself. I'm going to tell you when I'm wrong, and I'm going to push myself to be the very best that I can be. I'm going to hire the best staff that wants to be here. I want to coach guys that want to be here. And I want us to have not just a great season, but a great team that endures forever. So on behalf of my family, please let me say thank you. And if you would just bear with me, I want to make sure I thank all the players at Baylor, all the players at Temple. I would not be here if it were not for them. The guys who believed in me and bought into me, the guys in Texas that bought into this guy from Philadelphia, the guys in Philadelphia that bought into a coach they didn't know, all the coaches that worked with me, the staff, the administration at Baylor, the staff, the administration at Temple, Mac Rhodes, Linda Livingstone, Pat Kraft, thank you so much. I had great partners at Baylor. I found great partners here in Marty and Mr. Tepper. And And I look forward to working each and every day with you to make us the best organization in the National Football League. We've already started working. After I'm done, I'm going to take my suit off and get back to work. And I promise you, you'll get my best. Keep pounding. Yeah!
So with that, we'll take questions. Guys, we have mics in the aisle, so just raise your hand and we'll try to get a mic to you. We're going to start right here with Scott.
Coach, congratulations and welcome. Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. Could you speak to the quarterback situation you will inherit, and particularly your plans, although I'm sure that at this point you're still thinking about it, but what you're going to do with Cam Newton?
Yeah, and to be quite fair, I probably haven't had a chance with regards to really any player yet to talk to Marty and Mr. Tepper in terms of long-term vision. So I would never want to speak out of school or uneducatedly. What I will say is this: I had a chance to talk to Cam yesterday, and I have the utmost respect for him and what he's done. And I love the way he talked to me, to be quite honest. He didn't want to talk about the past; he wanted to talk about the future. And so, but other than that, I would much rather talk to those guys and kind of get a feel for not just Cam, but all the players on the roster, and really have a good process moving forward for the entire roster.
Let's go to Jordan.
Hey, Coach, welcome. Time and again in your own, as you say, your own processes at various programs, you have inherited very little, adjusted, and then worked with what you had to turn the program around. Can you think of a couple specific examples where you have made your players successful by creating success for them despite the situation?
Yeah, I think when we took over at Temple, we were moving up in conferences. So we had been in the MAC, and we had gone into the Big East and then the American Athletic Conference. So we kind of needed a reboot. And when I went to Baylor, you're supposed to have 85 scholarship players. I started the first year with 45, that were inherited. And so to me, the key to being a great leader is not to make excuses and complain, and it's just to get to work, right? Figure it out. So what we did both of those places is we found the guys that were going to fit. And if they were freshmen, they were freshmen. If they were seniors, they were seniors. But we found the guys that fit in that thing I talked about, being tough, being hard working, being competitive, and we played them. And we gave them experience. We played them through the adversity. And my first year at Temple, I was 2-10. My first year at Baylor, I was 1-11. But we were a championship caliber team in 3 years. And so I think the thing for me is it's easy to talk about process. It's easy to say, hey, these are the things we're going to do. Will you still be saying that when you're having not a lot of success? And so I was able to do that twice. I learned a lot from that. And I think our players, the biggest thing I learned from those things, Jordan, is that the players learned in those years where we had adversity that I wasn't going to throw them under the bus. I wasn't going to talk bad about them. I wasn't going to say we're losing. I was right there in it with them, and our coaches were right there in it with them. And when we started to have success, they realized, hey, these coaches are for us. Because that's really what this is supposed to be. The coaches are there to help the players be their best. I was going to say it, and I get caught up sometimes, but as we talked, I'm so committed to our players, and I know Mr. Tepper and Marty are so committed to our players having the very best in terms of sports science, in terms of recovery and regeneration. This should be a place that players say, I want to go there. We practice hard and we prepare hard, but we do the things to extend your career and allow you to play at peak performance. And so I think our players saw that in those hard times, and then they had success, and we really had a great relationship.
David.
Yeah, David Newton, ESPN.com. When David Tepper was describing what he was looking for in a coach, he talked about how the transition from the college level is very tough. What about your experience on the college level is going to help you make that transition and be successful?
Yeah, I think anytime you talk about in global terms like that, I think it comes down to different people. I had a chance to be in the NFL. I worked under Tom Coughlin. It wasn't a real long experience, but I think it was a good experience. And so I think I went to be a college coach saying, hey, this is how I'm going to do it. I played for Joe Paterno. I worked for some great coaches, but I worked under Tom Coughlin. I went back to the college game and said, okay, I'm going to do it this way. And so different than a lot of guys, I've kind of done it that way. And I think the players that you look at that I've had come out of Temple and come out of Baylor, we have a lot of guys in the pros. And we have a lot of guys that get there and get second contracts and have had a lot of success. And I think that's because I'm going to be demanding, but I'm going to be demanding of myself first. I'm going to want accountability, but I want accountability of my staff and I first. And I think players that I've had, when you can communicate with them, when you have the same vision, that's the one thing as I've talked to guys so far. Every guy that I've talked to has reminded me that, hey, Coach, we're all in this for the same thing, and I completely agree. So I think the college thing is maybe true for a lot of guys, but I think for me, I've had some unique experiences.
Hi, Coach. Elena Getzenberg, Charlotte Observer. Welcome to Charlotte.
Thank you.
In the assistant hiring process, where are you with that? And are you looking to bring people from Baylor or other places? Where are you looking for to bring your assistants from?
Yeah, I'll have a diverse staff and a mixed staff. I have I think one of the best staffs in football at Baylor. A lot of my guys, I got to Baylor from the NFL, so a lot of guys have NFL experience. But I think two things. Number one, there's a lot of guys that I know that are interested in coming here, and there's a lot of people that are really excited about this organization, and they're really excited about what Mr. Tepper and Marty have already started. And so I'm getting calls from guys that say, hey, I want to be a part of that. Because I think what you see here is you see alignment. You see an owner, you see a general manager and a head coach that aren't forcing themselves to do things. They see things the same way. And people understand that's how you win in this league. When everyone's on the same page, you're going to be successful. So I'll probably get here. I'm going to start working with Marty today or tomorrow, whenever, and start working on getting some people here. But the one thing I've learned and the advice I've gotten from so many people in this league is don't rush, get the right people, and so that's what we'll do.
Brett.
Brett Jensen, WBT. How much, can you go a little bit more into the sports science aspect of it, and how much of that was a sticking point to making sure that you came here, making sure that Mr. Tepper was going to build something that you were happy with?
Well, it was nothing really about, hey, are you going to build? I think as we started talking, the worlds of sports science, the worlds of analytics are things that I'm interested in, and as we talked, we had just a common interest in those things. And so I think the big thing about, they're always evolving, and I think really it's just a commitment to the application of things. Like we have Catapult at Baylor, they have Catapult here, where you monitor the loads on players, and it really just comes down to the application of it. And can you get alignment from your football staff to your sports medicine staff to your sports science staff? So we didn't get into great detail about, hey, we're going to do this, and it was just more like, this is what I believe in, this is what they believe in, and to me, again, I just believe in common vision. If we believe in our players having the very best, then we can be really successful. And so I think when you're in college football, things people don't realize is, like, we don't get to draft anybody, and I don't get to offer somebody a signing bonus. So like, we're all trying to get the best stuff. So we were way ahead of a lot of other college teams in terms of the sports science that's at Baylor, and so I've kind of gotten very used to it.
Nick.
Nick Carboni from NBC Charlotte. David kind of explained his aha moment that he and Marty had when they switched to kind of recruiting in that pitch to you. Did you have a similar moment where you thought, this is an even better fit than I may have even thought coming into the interview, and why not take other interviews as you were reportedly scheduled to?
It was a long meeting, so there was a lot of time there to talk, and I think that was good, right? For me, I go through this, I'm kind of a football coach. I'm just dissecting it. We're talking, and we were just talking. It wasn't scripted. And I think that was the biggest thing when I took it away from it was, man, I can sit there and talk to these guys for probably 5 more hours because we're having a great conversation. Julie's kind of in the room, out of the room. She's in the next room, and my aha moment was when they left, and she was like, "What are you doing? Like, you need to go work for them. Like, that's you." And we've had lots of opportunities over the years, college, and she's always been right. She's always been right. And we've taken some jobs. People said, why are they going to Baylor? She's always said, go here because of those people. And the second aha moment was when my son came downstairs and he said, are we going to Carolina? I said, no. And he stormed, this is a true story, now stormed out of the house. He said, you had one job. Like, he wanted to be here. So, I just think when you find something that's right, it's right. And we said it's right, and then fortunately the next morning they offered me the job and I took it.
Steve Reed.
Hey, Matt, welcome to Charlotte. Steve Reed from the Associated Press. I'm sure you had at least a chance to take a glimpse at this roster. What are your initial thoughts on what you have here to build with and where you want to go in the future as well?
Yeah, because I've kind of been involved in their game and then a couple different things, to be quite honest, I'm kind of looking at a couple different rosters. So I can't talk in great depth. I know some key pieces. I've watched now, yesterday I tried to watch some games. I watched 3, 4, 5 games. And so really my next steps are, my family's going to go back tonight and I'm going to stay here. And my next steps are really start to get to know the guys, start to, watch the tape, and then hire a staff. And so I'd hate to talk, without having a great sense of what I'm really going to say. But I've started that process and started getting to know some of the guys as well.
Guys, we're going to take 2 more. We're going to go to Joe Person, then we'll finish with Eric Spanberg.
Hey, Matt, it's Joe Person over here.
Sorry.
Could you walk us through the conversations with the Giants following the interview? Because I think based on some of the national reporting, there's a perception that, I think your agent called them after your meeting with the Panthers. And just could you walk us through that?
I never had a chance. I never talked to anyone but them, and I probably don't want to say anything that would come across in a bad way about anybody. So I just want to talk about them. But my agent talks to everybody, and I'm sure he had lots of conversations. He's representing a lot of guys, probably also too, that are in all these job mixes. So, for me, when they offered the job, and the biggest thing I'll say is when they offered, a chance to be here for 7 years, it spoke to me about the chance, the belief that we were going to do this together and do it the right way. And there was no doubt, and there's really no doubt the night before from my family, and there was really no doubt for me after just having that synergy that we were going to be here. So my agent, I know he talks to different people, but for me, the only person I talked to was Mr. Tepper.
Eric.
Hey, Eric Spanberg with the Charlotte Business Journal. As I'm sure you know, your new boss talks a lot about the Panthers have never had consecutive winning seasons, and he also talks a lot about sustained success. So with those 2 things in mind, I'm curious how the 2 of you have defined success in 2020, but then also what is that sustained success? What does that look like?
Yeah, so for me, what I would say is sustained success to me is kind of what I said earlier with that mindset that we want to be great at everything. Like, you're never going to hear me, I'm going to talk about winning Super Bowls, but really the goal to me is to be the best at everything. And I think if you are elite at everything, then eventually Super Bowls come and you can have sustained competitive excellence. And so to me, without knowing the roster, without knowing the things that will come up next year, what I do know is if we're an 8-8 team, then we should be the best 8-8 team ever. If we're a 10-6 team, we should be the best 10-6 team. I don't know what those things are yet. I'm going to be just so process driven that I'm really just going to worry about tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. I think that's where I felt great about the conversations, is that we weren't talking about short-term things. We were talking about long-term. We were talking about building. We were talking about process. We were talking about doing things the right way. And I think so often people make mistakes because they set short-term goals, and I don't believe in that. I believe in setting a long-term goal. Like, we want to bring a championship. But then each and every day you have to wake up and say, what can I do today to make that happen? And that's true for everything in life in my mind, and it's certainly true for bringing a championship to Carolinas.
Molly, you'll be the last one.
Thanks. Hey, Coach. Molly Cotton, 7:30 The Game, ESPN Charlotte. I know you talk about not rushing the process when it comes to hiring your staff. Do you place a priority maybe on bringing a veteran NFL guy in on this staff?
And not really in terms of like coordinators and things like that, because I think the league has seen, like, there's been great coordinators who are 60 and there's been great coordinators who are 28. So it's not really that. I think one of the key pieces for me is to bring a veteran guy that can really work with me and mentor me. I've always done that everywhere I've been. I've always tried to have somebody that can be there to speak truth to me, speak truth to power, that can be kind of a right-hand guy. And so I want to have a great mix. And at the end of the day, all I really care about when I hire assistant coaches is, are they great teachers? That's really what this game's about. It's about getting players to play their best. And the best way to do that is to have guys who bring out the best in their players. And so old, young, none of those things matter to me. I don't have to know them. I just think when you meet guys who are great teachers, who bring out the best in others, you kind of feel it. And so we're going to try to do that. But I will try to bring in someone who's been around. And lots of guys like that have reached out to me already, which is great.
Thanks, Coach. So that concludes today's press conference. Thank you all so much for coming, especially you, Brad Hoover, 45 in the back. We're going to have photo opportunities on stage, so photographers, feel free to move forward. Thank you guys for coming.